Good morning. We finish looking at Psalm 119 this morning, another 88 verses, and hopefully it won't be 15 minutes today. But it begins, it continues with, talking about God's law, God's decree, God's ordinances, God's promise, every verse throughout it. But this section starts, the Lord exists forever. Your word is firmly fixed in heaven. Your faithfulness endures to all generations. So, the Lord exists forever, and he'll be faithful to all generations. It's 2,000 years ago that Jesus lived and walked and said, the Father, for God so loved the world, But, so 2,000 years later, those words are still true. God's faithfulness is for all generations. Going down to verse 101, I hold back my feet from every evil way in order to keep your word. And, thy word is a lamp unto my feet and a light unto my path. That comes up in just a couple more verses, but, it goes back to, that I treasure your word in my heart so that I may not sin against you. It's that reminder that God is there, God is for us, that God's word protect us and lead us and guide us and help us to do the right things, encourage us in all of those ways. Verse 103, how sweet are your words to my taste, sweeter than honey to my mouth. And honey is the most pure sweetener that there is, and honey will basically keep forever. It may change a little bit in the jar, but you warm it a little bit and it's right back to its 100% natural wholeness and goodness, and then verse 105 is, thy word is a lamp unto my feet and a light unto my path. Another one of those verses that I've used for confirmation memory verses, and one that, is a good one for me to remember as well, that God's word is a lamp and a light, and it leads and guides. And in verse 106, I've got, the confirmation promise written beside that one, where I have sworn an oath and confirmed it to observe your righteous ordinances. And if you think about a baptism, it's been a while since I've baptized anybody. It's been a while since I had a confirmation service of our youth. But in baptism, the pastor or the leader asks the parents and the sponsors and the congregation if they promise on behalf of this child, or if it's an adult at that point in time, they answer for themselves, do you promise to bring this child to worship, to teach this child the Lord's Prayer, the Ten Commandments? Do you promise to read this Bible? Do you promise to teach this child about God and to live it? And as parents and sponsors, congregation, we all say yes by the help of God. And then at the day of confirmation, these youth are asked that question for themselves, with their parents and sponsors hopefully there beside them. And the youth say, yeah, I do, and I ask God to help and guide me, And so it's, I have sworn an oath of faith and confirmed it. And I know that my parents and sponsors did that on my behalf when I was baptized. And when I was confirmed, I said, I do, and I ask God to help and guide me, or, words similar to that. So we see so many of these things that just remind us of our faith and of our giving to God. And in verse 107, I am severely afflicted. Give me your life according to your word. I am seriously afflicted. You better believe it. We are all sinful creatures. Verse 116, uphold me according to your promise that I may live, and let me not be put to shame in my hope. When we hope in God, when we hope in Jesus Christ, it's that confident expectation that he is true to his word, and there's nothing that we can do that can separate us from that. I'm going to jump to verse 136. My eyes have shed streams of tears because your law is not kept. Think about our world today. All of the the evil, the hatred, the murdering, the killing, all of the evil stuff that's going on. And just think, my eyes shed streams of tears because your law is not kept. You know, love your neighbor as yourself. Respect other people. Do not kill. Do not steal. Do not, you know, if we as a worldwide society could hear those words, could live a little bit closer to those words, you know. And so this psalmist is writing that, you know, I weep at evil. I weep at the injustice. I weep I weep at the wickedness that goes on in the world, of the darkness that is in the hearts of so many, because they just can't see. They just can't, you know, they don't know anything else. And the evil just comes out from within, and it causes great consternation. It's just, you know, I feel really bad when I think about all of the evil stuff that goes on in the world, and the hurt that comes to so many innocent people by something that someone does out of, you know, rage, out of indecisiveness and not knowing any better, out of selfishness. I mean, so many innocent people are hurt. And so with the psalmist, my eyes shed streams of tears because your law is not kept. We go to verse, you know, 146. I cry to you, you save me, that I may observe your decrees. I rise before dawn and cry to you. My eyes are awake before each watch of the night. You know, day or night, all day long. I mean, we come to God, and I don't know if I already went, but I know it's coming up yet, but, you know, in verse 164, I think it was, that, you know, 7 times a day I praise you. And I think about, you know, growing up, you know, I don't remember ever saying a prayer before breakfast, but we'd say a prayer, you know, our noon meal, we'd say a prayer, our evening meal, we'd say bedtime prayers, and you know, you'd say a few other prayers once in a while, but, you know, 7 times a day I will praise you. And you know, it's, you know, there are some religions that have that requirement, so to speak, of praying, you know, at certain hours of the day, and that, you know. But so if we remember that day and night God is there, that the day and night we can come to God and ask for help and His promise, you know, and it's always there. And then verse 149 says that, in your steadfast love, hear my voice. Verse, you know, 153 to 160 is another one of those. I mean, a lot of these are kind of little prayers for protection from persecution or different things, but 153 again is preservation of life. I mean, this person is afraid. You know, look upon my misery and rescue me. Plead my cause, redeem me. Salvation is far from the wicked, and many are my persecutors. You know, and then verse 158, I look at the faithless with disgust because they do not keep your commandments. And again, I mean, you think about all of the evil people in the world, all of the things that go wrong in the world, and, you know, I look at the faithless in disgust. I mean, I don't know if I would say disgust, but I am disappointed. I am very shocked at all that goes on in the world. And so to look at this verse, I look at the faithless with disgust because they do not know your commands. You know, it's so true that, you know, the people that are doing these things, you don't hear about them professing their love for God or any of that. It's, you know, it's evil and darkness and hatred and hurt that they'll talk about if they talk about anything. Whereas 161 through 168 are talking about, you know, the contrast between the good and the evil again. And as I said in verse 164, it's 7 times a day I praise you for your righteous ordinances. And, you know, it's just that reminder to think about God all throughout the day, because, you know, God isn't just there when we wake up in the morning. He isn't just there when we go to bed at night, although I'm kind of sure that an awful lot of people, you know, will wake up in the morning with a prayer and then go to bed at night with a prayer. And And there's nothing wrong with that. But a lot of times then throughout the day, we can get so busy and wrapped up in other things that I mean, to be honest, I don't think about God 24 hours a day, but God is there 24 hours a day. We go out to like verse 169, let my cry come before you, give me understanding according to your word. And again, the prayer is for protection, for deliverance, for singing God's praise. And the psalm ends with, I think, a very, very fitting ending. I have gone astray like a lost sheep. Seek out your servant, for I do not forget your commandments. I have gone astray like a lost sheep. Wander around, not knowing where to go, not paying attention. I mean, that's what happens. That's how a sheep gets lost. That's how so many things get lost, is that they get their nose down on the ground and they're just nibbling away, and all of a sudden, where am I? I have wandered away. May God rescue you again today.